I also want to take a second to recognize Caleb Carr. He won in 2018. He has gone on to launch, well, continue to launch Vita Inclinata Technologies, doing incredible stuff. Caleb, you have to come up here and tell us about it because I can't do it justice. You gotta come up.
Vita Inclinata Technologies is a US-based defense company. We're now here in Ukraine taking the capability that the Air Force and the US Army are actively deploying today to the Ukrainian military based here, not only in Lviv, but also around the country as well. So this in the back is your pre-flight check. It will take 4 hours to stand up an entire medevac capability because we completely eliminate all the complexities that go with it. It will enable Ukrainian warfighters as well as civilians to be rapidly extracted from the war zone to either local hospitals or to be able to redeploy from another location. We have been able to validate with the US Army, and the US Army actually came out that they can save 4 lives in the same time that it takes to save 1 today. So every company, every organization, every individual, whether here in Ukraine or abroad, I believe has a responsibility. If it is possible, let's do it.
Thanks, guys. So my name is Caleb Carr. I'm the CEO and president of Vita Inclinata Technologies. That technology you just saw actually pulled civilians out of Mariupol just a week and a half ago. So some of you know me. Some of you are investors of mine in this room. But a lot of you don't. And I think it's important to talk about entrepreneurship from a mission standpoint. When I started Vita, I started it because I had a life-changing event. A friend of mine by the name of Don Gomez went down with cardiac arrest in the Columbia River Gorge. We called a medevac helicopter to come rescue him. And when that helicopter arrived, they tried to lower a basket down to us below. That basket kept swinging back and forth, unable to make it through the trees. And after multiple attempts, we called off the mission and called time of death. That was 2009. In 2022, we're now changing the entire way that rescue is done on the front line in Ukraine. When we think about entrepreneurship, it's not about big valuations. It's not about getting the biggest team, or the biggest office, or the coolest product, or the coolest building. What it really comes down to is, why do you do it? And that's exactly what every one of my staff, every one of my investors thinks about. Vita was created to save lives. We started by trying to solve chaotic motion under a helicopter. We then realized that that same safety technology can scale into the industrial space, so now we're actually stabilizing loads under cranes. We're now almost about to crest the $1 billion figure on valuation. Now, that sounds great, but it comes with a whole bunch of sacrifice, a whole bunch of pain, and a whole bunch of time. That time, everybody doesn't think about. Now, when you start a company, one thinks that it's easy to do because, oh, there's a market there. There's a solution. I found the problem. But no one talks about the stuff in between. beyond actually starting the thing and actually selling the thing. It all sounds great at the end. But that stuff in between is where that mission comes into play. That mission is what will get you through the 24-hour days. It was what will get you through the bombing raids in the middle of Lviv. It's what will get you through being held up at gunpoint by police. This is the kind of reality that us as entrepreneurs deal with on a regular basis. You will get challenged with your own type of mission. You all created the company for some reason. What I'm here to tell you is that that mission is the most important thing that you possibly have. Because without it, go do something else. Because when the time hits, when the pain hits, when the fatigue hits, that's the only thing that's going to keep you going. Where Vita has now taken us, and as we've scaled, when we started here, I had dots on a screen that showed our capability. It was dots that moved back and forth. And I said, this is our solution. This is the solution working. It was just straight. It was not very creative. But now we have a $250,000 product that carries an 82% gross margin that we now are deploying across the Army, across the Air Force, across the Coast Guard, internationally, and also on the crane side. We're close to 100 employees now. We'll be at 250 employed by year end. And now the game is how do you scale and do it appropriately? To be honest, when I started here with Amelia in 2018, I was scared. I didn't know what entrepreneurship would actually be. Now, 10 years later, or well, not 10 years, 4 years, it feels like 10 years.
Close.
4 years later, I couldn't be more scared now. But that's where it gets exciting. The thing about entrepreneurship and the difference between mission-driven entrepreneurship versus market-driven entrepreneurship is that that sphere is exactly why you're driven to succeed. Because that mission is exactly why you created the company in the first place. And that's exactly why Vita was created. It's exactly why I believe that all of us in this room who are entrepreneurs are successful. It's not because you found a market or a problem. It's because you've got a mission to solve the problem. And that's a key way of thinking about entrepreneurship that's different. As we look at Vita now, post business plan competitions like this, this was our first winnings. We ended up winning 19 other business plan competitions afterwards, to include Rice University. Rang the NASDAQ bell, got to do a whole bunch of cool stuff. Glitz and glamour, and boy did the ego hit. I felt like I was on cloud nine. But then the divorce hits. Then the 24-hour days hit. Then losing staff left and right hits. The thought of laying people off hits. Again, what keeps you going through them? It's the mission. So when Amelia saw me in 2018, I had wide eyes and bushy tail, hoping that I was going to succeed, and I had no idea what it would actually turn into. And that's exactly where you guys are. You get to think about, where does this venture actually get to go? The person that drives it is you. The person that actually gets to define what that looks like is you. But yet, 9 times out of 10, you worry about investors, you're worrying about staff, you're worrying about advisors, you're worrying about God knows what. Basically adds to the list. The reality being is that at the end of the day, it falls on you. And that's really where that mission really comes into play. So as we look to Vita in the future, you'll see us going public probably within the next couple of years. I will never touch another startup in my life. Everybody doesn't believe me. Talk to any of my investors, they say BS. I say no. I'm going to go back and be a firefighter. I'm actively a firefighter now. I'm also a professor. I'm also a pilot. All these things still keep me grounded. So whatever you do, whatever your mission is, make sure you do stay that grounded. Focus on whatever that mission is, but meanwhile focus on everything else that continues to keep you going so that when the mission gets hard, you still got some life in you coming from something else. As Vita continues to scale, you'll see us all over Seattle, as well as all over the world, not only saving lives, but changing the entire way that medevac is done. And I can't express enough the seats that you are sitting in right now, are the times where you get to make the decision of whether you go after that mission or whether you step aside and focus on it later. But if you choose to go after that mission, keep it in focus 110%, because that's going to be what gets you from today to where I'm at, to that exit, and to the massive learning curves that comes with it. So with that, congrats to the winners, congrats to all of you. All done an amazing job, and I wish you all the best in your entrepreneurial journeys. Thank you.